In this video, we are going to discuss about data structures. Data structures help us to organize and manage data in different storage format, and Python comes with some inbuilt data types like list, tuple and dictionaries. In this video, we will discuss all of them one by one. List is created using square brackets and it is the ordered collection of data which can be modified. It can contain multiple types of data like integers, floats, strings. Not only that, it can contain data structure itself. To access the data from the list, we use indexing, and all the items in the list have a particular index which starts from 0. We will learn about list data structure while coding. For now, let's discuss about tuples. It looks similar to a list, but there are a few differences. The order of the data and the data itself cannot be modified. It is faster than a list and consumes less space compared to a list. Then we have dictionary data structure. It is created using brace and every item inside a dictionary is in the form of key-value pair. To learn how to work with list, first we will create a list containing some integer elements. Another way to create a list is to use list constructor. You can also create an empty list like this. And then to add elements in the list, you can use append method. Append method always add the element at the end of the list. To add element at the particular index, you can use insert method. Insert method take first argument as the index and the second argument as the value to be inserted. Notice that the element 3 is inserted at the second index and the rest of the element are shifted automatically. Now to delete the item from the list, we will use pop method. It will return the element which is being popped. Now check the list. By default, pop method pops the element which is at the very last index, but if you want to pop an element of a particular index, then you can pass the index of that element in the pop method. Notice that the value at the index 2 is being popped. There are a bunch of methods which you can apply on list data structure. To know about available methods of list, use dir function. These are the methods available for list object, and to know how to use those methods, use help function, and it will give you the entire description of each and every methods and attributes available for list. Now to grab a particular element from our list, we will use indexing. For example, to grab the element at the first index, we will use a square bracket and pass the index number of the element we want to grab. To grab the value at the index 3, in Python you can pass negative index. Negative index will start grabbing elements from end of the list. So suppose if you pass index as -1, then you will get the very last element of the list. So negative index gives you the value in the direction from right to left. Now what if you want to access subsection of the list? For that you can use slicing technique. To grab the subsection of the list, you just need to specify the starting index colon stopping index. It will grab the element from index 1 up to 3, not including 3. Now we will discuss how to work with tuple data structure. It is created using parentheses. For now, we just create a tuple with random integers. Indexing of tuple works same way as a list. So if you want to access the data from the tuple, you can use the same technique. Just pass the index value in the square bracket. And if you want to know the total number of elements in that tuple, then simply pass it inside the len function. In the beginning I told you that list and tuples are almost similar, but since you cannot modify and add data to the tuple, if you try to apply any method of list on tuple which involves data modification, then you will get an error. In the last video we talked about range function while we were discussing for loop, and there I told you that range function is not the only iterable object. We can also use data structure as an iterable object in Python. To show an example, I will use list and tuple as an iterator. For that, we will create a for loop with item as an iterator and list as an iterable. We will do the same thing with our tuple. You can see that we can also iterate over every element inside our list and tuple using for loop. Till now we have discussed both list and tuple data structure. So if I ask you which data structure is more advantageous, then you might end up saying list, because you can apply much more method on list compared to a tuple, which is definitely depends on your use case. But one thing you should know before making a choice between list and tuple, that tuples are more efficient than a list while you are working with large amount of data. To show an example, I will create a list for 10 million times in a loop, and we will record the time to perform this operation. Then we will print the time taken for creating 10 million list. We will do the same thing with tuple, and will print the time taken for creating 10 million tuples. You can see the time difference. Tuple is almost 3 times faster than a list. Now you can choose over list and tuples depending on your use case. Now we will discuss about unpacking. To show an example, I will create a tuple with 2 values. Now I want to unpack the values of tuple p in separate variables. Since our tuple has only 2 values, I will create 2 variables x and y separated by a comma and assign the tuple to it. Now you can access x and y separately, which is the element of our tuple p. This is known as unpacking, and this technique can be used on all those objects which happens to be iterable. So to see an example of list, let's create a list which contains company name, total number of shares, price of each share and company registration date. Now to unpack it into separate variables, we will follow the same process by creating 4 different variables and then assign our data list to it. Now we can access all the components of our data list. But if you want to access individual component of date variable, then you can unpack that as well, like this. Till now we were working with few elements, but the data can be larger than you think. To deal with that, we can use star expression, but if I discuss it in this video, then the video will be bit long. So we will discuss it in the next video along with the dictionary data structure. If you face any problem in code or want to ask something, then post your question in comment section below. Our next video will be on function in Python. So if you haven't subscribed to our channel yet, then do subscribe it and hit the bell icon. And if you feel my videos are informative for you, then hit the like button as well.